Every day I'm rising to my inner vision.
Welcome to the Unknown Tribe, Palmaïa's channel, where we interview all the amazing people that come through the resort. I'm Alex, the founder of Palmaïa, and today we have none other than Dr. Shefali, a clinical psychologist and a pioneer in the conscious parenting movement. I'm super interesting to talk to you, and I love interviewing authors, of course, because it's so interesting and so much information comes out of it. And I have two children myself. I have a 10-year-old girl and an 8-year-old girl. So hopefully we should get some interesting information today.
Yes.
I can learn lots of new things. Yay.
That's amazing. Yeah, I'm actually just launching a workshop specifically called Raising Conscious Daughters.
Amazing.
Because our girls are under a new kind of, urgent
onslaught.
Care. We'll
Onslaught. Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
An onslaught.
Okay.
Yeah.
So why do you tell our audience then how you got started in this and where conscious parenting was born from? No, from your, I assume you had a life experience of some sort, and then suddenly tell us what happened.
Yeah, and like all really sustainable journeys, mine too started from a very personal experience. So professionally, as a psychologist, working with adults, you begin to see how everything goes back to childhood, right? It's so
Always,
predictable.
yes.
It's so predictable. But you think that, when you become a parent, or I thought I was so delusional to think that, when I become a parent, I'm not going to mess it up, right? I'm just not going to do it. So I did 3 masters, I did a PhD, I learned Vipassana meditation, I waited till my 30s, was stable. And then, you have a child and it just... You've never seen this kind of unconsciousness in yourself.
It throws your world out of whack, right?
You're like, I did all the relationships. I thought I saw every nook and cranny of my ego. So when I became this mother that I thought I would never be, a huge epiphany occurred within me to make me realize that the reason I was the mother I never thought I would be is because I have this ego about my parenting. And at that time, this is 2007, 2008, no one really was talking about the parent's ego.
Yeah.
And I was a very serious practitioner of Vipassana meditation. So I was able to see my ego in every other place, but I never thought it could even exist as a parent.
It's impossible to see until it happens, right?
Yeah, because you're supposed to love your child so much. How can you have an ego with your child?
Yeah.
So then when you see that ego, the typical person, right, who's not a seeker, just blames the child. Like, how can you make me feel this way? How can you make me become a crazy person? You are the problem.
Yeah.
So I was doing that, but I was wise enough to know, how can I blame a 2-year-old or a 6-month-old? How can I? But I was helpless, till I had my epiphany. And I went, oh my God, I do not unconditionally love this person. This is my ego. I was stupefied. It was like the emperor has no clothes, that moment of like, wow, no one told me that the same damn ego that shows up everywhere else would show up despite the love. And it made me so humble because I'm supposed to love this, and I do love this person the most.
Yeah.
And the ego is as big as in any other place. Like, what the hell, right?
Absolutely.
So that epiphany, but I was like, is everybody's ego? Like, why is no one talking about it? So then I just got it, I was like, they're not talking about it because that's the ego.
It's a very egoic thing to believe, right? That not admit that you could be doing something wrong for your child, especially years in.
Yes,
right?
it's too hard to admit.
Because imagine having to admit that you've done something that might affect your children's well-being and growth and everything, right?
But I found that I was pricking the bubble of an industry, of a mythology, of a paradigm, that the parent is this hallowed, sanctified being. You can be a total schmuck in every relationship, but when you're a parent, you're anointed. Now you have unconditional love, which is a bunch of bullshit, right? So when I saw it in myself, that you can have the unconditional love, but it's got a lot of underlying agendas, and we need to look at that and expose that. I felt I was bursting a very sanctified tradition, like the
And what examples would you give of, for example, in order to identify the fact that a person may be acting on ego with their children? Is it maybe saying things like, "Oh, I don't have time to do this because the kids take up all my time," or what type of things are you like when you blame the kids, as you said before? Do you have any examples of how people can know how they to learn to identify, like the 101, I guess, of identifying, am I an egoic parent in the wrong way with my children?
Yeah, chances are we all are in the wrong way. So here it is, because it's so damn sneaky. So one would say 101 level is like, oh my goodness, when I yell at my child and I tell them, no party for you on the weekend, I'm not going to let you go for Amanda's birthday party.
Yeah.
Okay, every parent can understand that that's the ego. So that's like level 1. But the ego is so sneaky. It's in the, oh my God, you look so cute as a ballerina. You're so pretty.
Exactly.
It's like that.
Yeah, the kid might not want that, right?
Exactly, but you're subconsciously, brainwashing them when they're sleeping.
Your traumas, you didn't have that as a kid, so you maybe want the kid to have it.
It's like you're reading a book and you're like, oh, look, this doctor is so amazing. Right? And then you subconsciously implant all these messages onto how to be, and we all do it. So becoming aware of this projection, and it's everywhere all the time. Every decision we make to enroll them in the backward skiing classes and the taekwondo and the, the sign language at the age of 3 and the French classes at the age of 4, we have to really stop to examine, where's this coming from? Now, this doesn't mean you're a paralyzed robot and you don't do anything, right? You're like...
What about saying no? So, for example, saying no, sometimes you need to have a balance of no's as well, right? You don't want to say no to them all the time. So how do you balance the no's, the right amount of no's with the wrong amount of no's, right?
Yeah.
You don't want it to be too many, because then they get no's all the time. It's not good for them, right? But sometimes I feel you have to say no.
Yeah.
So...
yeah,
how do you do it from a position of love, instead of ego?
Yeah, so first is the energy with which you come with, right? Like, are you doing it from this dominant, because I said so kind of place, which all of us do at some point, because they drive us crazy? Or are you doing it from an understanding and a compassion and an empathy that these are real human beings just like we are? They want to stay up late and eat popcorn. They want to know what the grown-ups are doing. They want the phone. They want to look, they're sneaky, stealthy, suspicious, just like us. They have the whole range of feelings.
Well, and they're learning them all.
And they're learning from us and modeling, but we don't allow them to have that, right? Yeah. We really want very codified puppets, and who go to bed at 8 o'clock and by, say goodnight, say the prayers, all tucked away, and we with a bow on top, right? But childhood is not like that. It's messy, it's chaotic. Yeah. So how to say no? You have to really understand what childhood is. I think many people don't understand who children are. Yeah. We think we're raising soldiers in an army, future CEOs, future healthy adults. That's the new way to talk about, who we're raising. No, we're raising children. They're wild, feral, impulsive, crazy, Jekyll and Hyde creatures, so you have to flow with them.
Yeah. And when you spoke about education then, how does conscious parenting fall within today's education system? Because I feel that today's education system pushes academics way too young now. Well, children, I think, should be creative. They should be in nature. They should do activities. They should painting, art, singing, things that nurture their brain in a different way. And I feel lots of friends that I have friends who have children who go to school in London and New York and LA. They're learning algebra 2 or something crazy. No, is that right? Well, what do you feel about that?
Well, in the ideal world, everyone would go to an eternal, Waldorf inspired or play school. But let's be realistic. It's expensive. Yeah. Parents are working. Mothers don't have the time to take care of 3 children and homeschool them. It's not easy. So we have to have some, understanding that not everyone can create this environment for their children. But yes, in the ideal world, the current education system is completely anti-conscious parenting. However, I sent my kid to a public school because I was one of those parents. I didn't have the time, didn't have the money at that time. And I understood what I was doing. I didn't dress it up. When I was like, oh, bye, have a good day, I knew, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Yeah. I'm sending you to this place.
And did you compensate more at home with them in different ways to soften the indoctrination of the school system, so as to say?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So when she would do homework, I'd be like, come on, just do it. She'd be like, this is crazy. I just did this for 7 hours. I'm like, I know. I would have empathy.
Yes.
I wouldn't pretend that this was the right way.
And force her to do it.
And force her. Or if she said, I'm so bad at math, I wouldn't say, let's become good at math.
Yeah.
I would just be like, let's just get through these next 10 years, and let's find a way to survive this.
So, conscious parenting can then be achieved then on different levels depending on your life situation, but any level can be achieved, I assume, then really, right?
Well, the core of conscious parenting, the core of conscious parenting is for the parent to look within themselves and to raise themselves as they're raising their child. So that completely flattens the hierarchy in a way. Not that the parent is not in charge. The parent is in charge, of course. But it takes away the power tripping and the egoical play that parents tend to get into. You really relate to the child as a true human being. Just like you wouldn't kick a dog just because you could kick a dog. Yeah. You understand the dog is a living being. Just like that, not to create that, but just in the same way, just because you could power trip a child because they're small, you don't. And that is the core of conscious parenting.
So what we need to do, basically, if I understand it correctly, is we need to encourage parents to question their own conditioning as much as they can, and then not transmit that conditioning onto their children, right?
Yes. For the parent to understand that now, upon having a child, they are on a journey to not only raise this being as they need to, as closely aligned with their unique attunement and their spirit, so to speak, but they're also raising themselves. So it is a co-authored journey, and it is not where the parent gets to impose their ways.
So would you say that conscious parenting isn't for everyone then? Because obviously not everyone's willing to look into themselves, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So if you're not willing to look into yourselves, how can you even think about how you act and project onto your child?
Yeah, and because it is not for everyone, we have the tragic state of affairs.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And sorry, in that case, what's the best thing we can all do then to lead people into a situation or show them how they can start doing their own work and questioning their conditioning when they have children, or ideally before, right?
So the good thing about children is that if you have enough of them,
by 10th one,
they will get you to your knees. So I keep waiting, I go, it didn't happen with child number one. Exactly. See, I had one child and it woke me up, completely. I was like, I've got it, I got it.
It was easier for you.
But hopefully by child number 3 or 4, the parent is beaten down and destroyed. And their ego is starving, crushed, and going, please help me.
What can I do?
Yes. Or another good thing about childhood is that there is something called adolescence.
Okay.
And when that happens, often...
That's another smack in the head to make sure they work.
Smack in the head. And the parent who is, reveling in their pedestal of control typically falls down. That's why I love the teenager. Because whatever life couldn't do, the teenager will do, Well, now those two instances apart, we want to have a parent who feels slight remorse or has some reflection to go, am I doing this right?
Yeah, well, I think everyone.
If they don't, and there's darkness there, it's really hard to tap in, But I'll tell you another way that I found as a coach, because I coach people to do therapy all the time.
To know,
The way in is through their childhood. But people are defended, as you know, and they don't want to
start a whole journey with the parent, though.
Then
you're treating the parent,
that is it,
and then through the parent you treat the child.
But that is it. The child often doesn't need to be treated, right? The problem is often in the parent, in how the parent perceives the situation.
So basically, parents becoming the most authentic version of themselves in their power and glory, let's call it.
Yes.
Unconditioned mind. And then they can be the best parents possible.
Right. So if you get a parent who says, my 7-year-old just doesn't listen to me. Because this child is like devil. It's a devil spawn, right? This is a unique child, never to be seen on earth before. You don't understand my child, Dr. Shefali. This child does not listen, okay? So they try to convince me that they have like a total psycho child. I'm like, okay, you have a psycho child. Now, what do we do with the psycho child? You want to lock the child up? What do we do? Then when the parent begins to explore, we will find that the parent has problems with boundaries. The parent is inconsistent. The parent is going through their own trauma.
Yes.
It is inevitable that there is a dynamic, right?
Yeah.
It's co-created. At best, it's co-created.
And I feel that if you haven't done the work and introspection on yourself at some point, when you have children, it's kind of like, as you said, it's a smack in the head to
it's
really...
like a spotlight.
Yeah,
it's
completely.
A spotlight. Like if you have, if you're anxious, oh my goodness, you'll see it everywhere.
Yeah.
Because children bring that up, right?
Yeah.
They create anxiety, especially in the modern world, because the modern world is not made for children, and children are not made for the modern world. So anxiety is just the, the inevitable fissure that comes up in this earthquake.
So since you coined the term conscious parenting, I hear it a lot everywhere, even in the community where my kids live, everyone uses it. It seems to be conscious parenting is letting your kid do whatever they want. And not interfering, not telling them off. Is that right?
Yeah, so parents see that's so cunning of the ego, right? So the minute I put the spotlight on them, this is what they say. 99% of times, parents will tell me this. Oh, okay, I can do this. This is so easy. I'll just smoke weed with them when they're 8 years old. Fine, let them do whatever they want. And I'm like, where did you hear that, right? Where did you hear that? And you know what that is? Because when I shine the spotlight on their accountability, their own inner rebel goes to sex, drugs, and rock and roll. They think like, now we can just, it's a party. I go, how did you go from me asking you to be accountable to you giving up all responsibility, right? Because it's too hard to sit in that discomfort, right?
Absolutely.
It is so hard to ask, what about me? What about me? What about me? So when your teenager slams the door and says, I hate you, right? Which I hope every parent gets to hear one time, because it's such a devastation.
How could they say that to me?
How could they say that? I'm the most likable person. And you think of all these scenarios, right? You want to storm in there and go, give me back all your clothes because I bought them, or give me everything, leave the house. But then when you sit in it and then you ask yourself, wow, what feels so hateful for my child right now? Was I hateful to my child? Or does my child hate themselves? And when you can look at it from that transcendent perspective, you become their guide, and then you enter the room after your ego has calmed down, and then you can soothe them. And inevitably, they will come running to you when you're calm. But imagine the damage we do when we go in thinking it's about us.
Yes.
Right? And it's never about us, but it's all about us.
Yeah, absolutely. So I understand that conscious parenting within what you've been speaking so far has to do with the conditioned mind projecting onto the children, right?
Yes.
But what about things like, most people say, because I'm for obviously not giving my kids digital devices as long as possible. Is that part of conscious parenting as well?
Yes,
Not no screen time and these things?
So you are lucky that you are a parent of younger kids. So you got the benefit of the damage we've done.
Exactly.
Yes, I was so excited. Yeah, take a phone. And we've seen, my generation of parents have seen the devastation that it has caused. So I am screaming from the mountaintops, do not give your kid their screens. They don't need it. It serves no purpose.
Yeah, but I think what happens, what I've noticed is that not giving them screens is harder, and you have to do it as a responsible parent, because in a plane, for example, not having a screen, you've got to be literally a few hours with them, like doing things constantly with them, and it takes time instead of you listening to your own thing or reading a book.
Yeah, but that kind of screen where it's stuck in somebody else's seat is still different than a portable screen that they have access to. It's very different. And I'm not saying that that's okay, but it's okay. We all grew up with that, with a TV you couldn't carry with you, right?
Well, mine, for example, they don't have any portable TVs, but then when we go on a plane, they see the screen, they go crazy.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to get them to not press the buttons, and they're 3 seats away. You're trying to turn it off, and they're clicking the cartoons, and they're
but I don't know. I wouldn't feel so bad if they watch that kind of screen. It is the portable screen where they have access, and they can do whatever they want to it. That is the danger. That's the hook.
Yeah. Well, we're trying to, for example, no screens as long as possible. We've done okay so far, but it's inevitable at some point, right?
Yeah. But you equip them. My daughter's 22, and I was just telling her, I can't stand the screen, and I hate what is done to your generation, and it influences you. And she said, Mom, it could influence us if we were fragile, but if we're not fragile, we won't. We can see through it.
Yeah.
But it takes a lot to build that.
That's amazing to see the positive and negative as well, right? Which is also important.
Yeah.
And video games?
Well, I have a daughter, so I never, ever had that. So if you have girls, it's interesting how it is kind of gender-based, Boys will do the video games, and I'm sure there are girls who do it too.
The girls do too, yeah, for sure.
But it's more a boy thing. you know, because it's based on adrenaline and risk taking and hunting and
Do you know what I did with mine, which was interesting? I noticed that like when they want to listen to music, right? So when they have the phone and they're on Spotify, what I notice is that while they're listening, they're scrolling and looking for the next song. So they're not really present in the song.
And that's why you don't want their fingers to have control.
Exactly. So what I did is I bought them a 1980s cassette player.
Yeah.
And I got them
they
cassettes.
Had to listen to the whole
and
thing.
They're listening to cassettes. And then what happened was that they started listening to cassettes with the little old headphones on, and they were drawing while listening to music. So that was really good. It's not easy. I mean, they still fight for the phone, but I try and balance like a 50-50 with cassettes against Spotify, you know?
Yeah, that's amazing. And hopefully there will be a revolution of things turning around. I was hopeful, but then with AI, now it's come even more. But I think parents are getting really savvy about the destruction of social media.
Any more aspects that you would say are part of conscious parenting that we should know about then? So the mind, the physical aspects of screens, devices. What else would you fit into the concept of conscious parenting that you promote?
Well, so like you said, you know, it's the parent understanding their conditioned mind and how they project that, all their belief systems. So all of it around sex and pleasure and beauty and food and relationships and courage, all of it, right? So it's like a lot. It's a lot. You want to examine it. And it's really about connecting to who your child is, not the child you wish you had. And allowing your child to feel empowered to say, Mom, that's not me. Like this child you're thinking about is not me. Like, give it up right now. I'm not the engineer. I'm not the NASA astronaut. I'm me. This is me. And when a child feels empowered to say, this is me, and knows that it will be celebrated, I think that is the goal.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I've got a question then. How do you recommend managing conscious parenting in split households, right? Because then you've got two minds projecting in different ways on the kids, and they're receiving conditioning in different ways, and then they're crossing to the other side, right? Is there anything to look out for there, or that could be helpful tips for people like myself and others?
Well, it sounds like you've really created a wonderful flow. Maybe I'm projecting. But
we do the best we can, but there's always a way to improve, right?
And it's okay if it's not perfect, right? Like we're not trying to bubble wrap our children in this sanitized, you know, very safe, secure, perfect, ideal world. It's okay that they rub up against something, especially people who come from wealth. A little bit of challenge is okay, you know, it's okay. Ideally, you know, it's really not the separation that matters. It's the egos of the parents, right? And the competition, the unconsciousness. For what I really see a lot is that children will go to one house, and then when they come from that house, they are a mess. And it takes a long time to recalibrate that child. And I have to help so many parents to, you know, not decompensate because their child comes back with all the rage, feeling betrayed. And I just help parents to become really sensitive to their child's needs. You know, it's not easy to go back and forth.
What about like communicating aspects of, like, for example, separation, sex, and all these things to children? What ages are the appropriate ages to communicate certain information to them? Because you can either do it too young or too late. And if you do it too young, then you might damage them in some way, right? Mentally. And if you do it too late, then they've already been conditioned, right? So are there certain guidelines for like ages to communicate like more these adult aspects of life to the children?
I think the first 7-8 years, you don't have to worry too much. You let them know your phone number and how to kick someone in the balls if they abduct them.
Right?
You know, kick them. You know, I remember teaching my daughter, just kick and scream. So basics of safety, right? Because they're vulnerable. They're vulnerable. But I think otherwise, you don't need to really give them too much of the real world. Let them have their time to be imaginative and creative and safe in their ideal dream-like state. But I think 9, 10, 11, you can start dripping it in. And you'll see how horrified children get, right? They're like, that chicken is on my plate, right? They don't make that connection, right? And they get horrified. Or what do you mean? You know,
a baby's made.
What do you mean? Like, you didn't drop, you know, I didn't drop from the sky? Like, what do you mean? But I think by 9 and 10, if you say it in a very simple way and matter-of-fact way, actually they are okay with it. But I think when we are shy or we are, you know, so conditioned to be ashamed of concepts, then they inherit that. You know?
Absolutely.
we can say this is called sex.
Yeah.
Just
Make
matter
it
of
very
fact.
practical, keep it easier. Yeah. And would you like to talk to us about your 3 books, please? I think it'll be interesting because we'll share the links later to all the books and where you can get them. And would you like to give us a brief overview of each one of them and what they talk about?
Yeah, well, I have 7 books in all, but I have 5 in the US.
Okay.
1 was co-authored, so I'll just focus on the 5.
Okay.
So my first book that pioneered conscious parenting is called The Conscious Parent.
Okay.
Then I wrote a book called Out of Control, which really debunks the whole system of discipline and like blew it out of the water. And then The Awakened Family. Then I wrote a book for women called A Radical Awakening, which I love.
Yeah.
And then I wrote a book called The Parenting Map, which is a real 21-step, easy GPS for parents starting out. No, we always say we don't have a map. Well, I created the map.
Amazing.
Really easy to follow. And now I'm writing my next 2 books on raising a conscious daughter and a conscious son, because it is different to raise. As fluid as they can be, we do have different demands when you have a son and when you have a daughter. So I'm addressing that.
Okay, that's brilliant. We'll share those links later anyway so people can contact. What about, you want to talk to us about your workshops also, so our audience can hear all the workshops you do so they can maybe join you as well?
Yeah,
I think that'd be great
I do workshops all around the world. I'm doing one here at Palmaïa and hopefully every year.
Exactly.
A women's retreat. That's really my passion, to help women become their most empowered. I have a coaching institute, so if anyone wants to learn to do coaching like I teach, the conscious parenting way, the conscious living way, where I integrate Eastern spirituality with Western psychology. I have a 5-month online coaching institute where I coach people. That's amazing. I have a podcast and I have a community. I have a beautiful community online where people can take all my workshops, they can get my support, they can get my team support for like $16 a month.
It's brilliant. Do you do like a Zoom with everyone sometimes as well?
Yes, very regularly.
Amazing. That's brilliant. Okay, cool. Well, also we have some audience here today. Do we have any questions? Would anyone like to ask any questions? Oh, hello. Speak and I'll repeat it. So I'll repeat that question. So how does parenting work when you're a step parent? And how can a step parent become also a conscious parent when they're in between, I guess, both the families?
Yeah. I think the step parent has a very challenging role because they are responsible but not in charge, So they have the responsibility without the power, right?
Yeah.
But they also have a beautiful capacity because of that. I'm not really responsible. I am responsible, but I don't have the power. And these are not my kids, to really place and play a very positive influence on on these children. But I think the main message for a step parent is you cannot take it personally. So they may say, you're not my mom, or I'm not listening to you, and who are you? And, I hate you. They may get a lot of the baggage,
a lot of wrath,
of the broken system, so-called broken system. But if they just realize that they are actually a sponge, and how lucky that the kids have this sponge to dump on, they can actually be a real healing influence in the system.
That's amazing. Okay.
Yeah, and also try to get along with the ex. Try not to see them as a competitor.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. And do we have any more questions? Yes.
Yeah. Great
So
question.
I'll repeat that question for you. So basically, when you brought up your children in a conscious way, and when they get older and they rebel against those ways, at what point do you either let them be to make their own mistakes, or what do you step in more, right? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Well, 2 things determine that. The child's age and what they're going through, right? So if the child is really young, you have to intervene.
Yeah.
And if the issue is a red flag issue, right? So I define what are red flag issues. Drugs, sex, rock and roll, things that can put them in real psychological, physical harm.
Yeah.
Then you intervene as best as you can. Now, after the age of 18 or 21, you really don't have much, quote unquote, judicial, legal influence. And that's why you want to build a strong connection where you do have influence, so you can influence them. However, it's okay for your child after a certain age, 17, 18, 19, to really fall hard, not with drugs, not with something physically harmful, but suppose they fall for the wrong man or the wrong woman. It's okay. It breaks our heart.
It's part of the process.
But those life lessons are inevitable and they build a kind of resilience.
Yes.
Your job as a parent, our job as a parent, is to keep telling them, I know you're going through this. You don't want to hear from me. I love you. I'm here on the other side.
Yeah.
Catch me on the other side,
exactly.
And you just hold ground and just be anchored. Yeah. And actually, the more you support them in their bad decisions, right? Like, even though you're like, your lip is cut, right, from biting it, bleeding, you just go, oh, I'm here for you. I understand, even though you're seeing them go off the hill because you want them to come back, right? And you're like just waiting for them to come back, right? So it's hard for a parent to not get into the ego, to go, this makes me too nervous, I'm cutting you off. Or you're not listening to me, I'm cutting you off. Well, then you've cut them off. They can't come back. You want them to be able to come back. So your goal is, okay, they're not with me now, and that pisses me off or that worries me. Okay, but let me make a safe haven for them to come back.
So always be there to catch them when they fall.
Yeah, I'm here for you. You're going through something. I may not agree. I don't understand. I'm being honest. I'm an old-fashioned mom. Whatever, say it. Admit it. I'm not so cool. I don't get this, but I'm here for you. And as long as they know that you're not shaming them and damning them, they will boomerang back.
I think that
around.
makes absolute sense.
Yeah.
Do we have any more questions? One more?
Yeah.
Okay, so what they're saying, our question was basically that in the world of spirituality, where spirituality becomes a look and a label, conscious parenting has also become a look and a label, where people are saying, I'm a conscious parent, I do this and I do that. But, what are your thoughts on how it's being labeled? Yeah, basically, bastardized. There you go. Go on then.
Yeah. Speak your truth. Yeah. You have a lot to say. So I have a lot to say about this, but
please do.
In the respect for time and the dignity of your podcast.
Okay, so you can say whatever you want
because this is one of my
say whatever you want.
Pet peeves, right? That so the first thing I say to parents in my summits and my retreats is that do not even come to me and tell me you're a conscious parent, because that is the sign of your egoic
don't tell me you're a shaman, right?
No, what are you saying? Like, if to understand what it means to be conscious means to shut up, like don't like to bow down and go to your ego and go, my ego is always here, right? So for people who are trying to hack their own unconsciousness and bypass and try to be this label, they are really bastardizing the true intention of at least what I have put out into the world, which is really deep, serious, painful, no feel good, brutally honest, courageous work. I'm not here to, I'll get survey results, right? Which I hate. I'm like, why are you giving me a survey? I'm in my 50s. I'm not a 2-year-old, right? You either respect my message or you don't. But anyway, these summits you go to, they give you a survey, right? And some people will say, I'll get all the way from, amazing to, I'll even get feedback such as, she was too poetic. Okay. But then I'll get feedback like this. And I'll get a lot of feedback like this. And I'm being honest. I didn't feel good.
That's good.
She made me feel bad.
That's good.
She made me feel ashamed. She made me feel. Okay,
but they're projecting onto you.
Yes, of course.
Exactly,
and I go, wow, you didn't get anything from this whole summit, right?
but that might push them to learn, hopefully. Yeah.
No, they won't. They give you a bad result, and then they tell the founder, and the founder goes, oh, we can't call her again because she doesn't make you feel good. So what you're really talking about is this movement to accelerate dopamine and to have momentary, spontaneous bursts of
sense.
Which is the whole social media movement.
Yes, absolutely.
And all this effort to hack or to bypass or to accelerate or to supercharge and all these words you hear give an illusion of control that people are desperately craving.
Yeah.
And they want to feel like they are omnipotent. And okay, but it's an illusion. Yeah. It doesn't exist. And the better way, the wiser way, is to surrender to the fragility and impermanence and the chaos of life.
Yes.
Because when you totally become one with life's total chaos, you then become enlightened, you become wise, you wake up, you get liberated, instead of seeking perfection. So these people who are creating this image...
It always looks perfect, but it's wrong because obviously not doing the work. Because they thought they'd be like questioning themselves and they wouldn't feel right because instead of saying, oh, conscious parenting, I'm doing this, they'd be like, oh, I did this, I made a mistake, but I'm going to improve now. I've realized what I did wrong. Right. So it's more to question, right?
But it's not sexy today, right? So absolutely. The sexy thing is to to manifest and to talk about how everything
Everything's
is just
perfect.
everything's perfect, and I can attract, and I can, I just think it, and the next day it shows up, and then
change your reality by thought.
Right, and that's true.
Yes, but
it's
the
not
right
so
way.
easy.
Yeah, but the right way.
But the right way, not to become a god of your world.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're not a superhuman. You're so plain ordinary, like the worm that's going to die in a minute. You are that, and until you can disintegrate your ego to accept that you are no more than the worm. To the universe, the universe doesn't care. And that's why going for scuba diving, for example, where I was
we were
today,
just talking about that now,
is such a phenomenal experience, even though that's crazy too, that we're in their territory. But we can learn how infinitesimally irrelevant we are.
Yeah.
And I think all these movements are aggrandizing people's ego. You are so relevant and you are the master of your universe. Which feeds the false delusion to disastrous proportions. Yeah. And a cult-like atmosphere is being created. And so it is with conscious parenting. And I see it being bastardized online. And I just let it. I
see
just
basically
allow it.
more like it's insecurity. And as they're insecure, their way of saying I'm a conscious parent is the same way of saying I'm a better parent than you. Right?
Right, and that was completely not my message. Right?
But you know what? I'm super happy we have this conversation because now that I understand also more what the way you term conscious parenting has more to do with conditioning and the mind and your subconscious mind and how to heal. Because it's still healing, really. It's healing your mind so your children can also be healed. No.
Well, ultimate, I'll tell you the even deeper message of conscious parenting, which is related to life and relationships, which is you do not own
your children
or yourself or even yourself.
Yeah.
You really don't even own your life, right? And to become that, and that is a liberating message. But people get depressed when I say that. They're like, oh, I don't own my life. But there's a beauty to when you surrender to the irrelevance of your existence because you shed your ego. Yeah. And you go, okay, no one's going to really remember me. I mean, that is liberating. So people have a perverse understanding of what this message is about. It's really Buddhist in its ideal philosophy of non-attachment, letting go, impermanence, being in the present moment, and letting your children are not yours at all. And neither is your partner, neither is your own body. And to surrender to that is graceful.
Yeah. Well, I will definitely be a proponent and promoter of the conscious parenting solution and how it works, and I explain to people the right way now because most people here see it completely differently, as you said. So I will definitely go in alignment with what you've been teaching.
I'll say one more thing. Sorry, I'll say one. It is not a technique. See, people think it's a technique. It is a deep it's life philosophy of spiritual proportions of letting go of your egoic attachment to another being. And the reason I chose parenting versus relationships, it's not because, I love children only. Yeah. I do. But it's because here, more than in any other relationship, your ego gets so entwined because they're yours. Yeah. Right? So now it's like, are they mine? Are they not mine? Like it's such an illusion of, it's a mirror game, right? It's you don't know where to stand. So it demands the ultimate ego disruption and ego dissolution more than a couple. A couple, I know you belong to another crazy person's, you're another crazy person's child. You're not mine. So at the end of the day, I can say, you're not mine, right? And I can have detachment from you.
Yes, absolutely, yeah. So it's another level of deconditioning of the mind, basically.
It's
that you
the
might
deepest.
not even get, which you don't have, if you're not kids, you might not have that level of deconditioning.
Right.
It's a possibility to do the deconditioning, sorry.
Right, and that is the gift I think children give us if we want to go to that deep level, you know,
absolutely.
where you don't see them as yours. I mean, that's a powerful. And when
well,
the child,
I say that we're custodians of this life, right? We're bringing this life into the world, and I, for me, if a lot of people who have, I've got a friend who's only got boys, and he says, "Oh, I wish I'd have girls." And I was like, "Why?" And he goes, "So look after me when I'm older." I was like, "What?" If my kids feel they have to look after me when I'm older, by obligation, I will have known I've done a bad job. I want my kids to be free and authentic, right?
Yeah. Right. The other day, one of my friends told me, she's like, you know what your problem is, Shefali? Your child doesn't see you as a helpless human being. And so she doesn't, she doesn't have this bleeding empath. She's like mom, or she, expects me to be there.
So she probably parentified her children into thinking they need to take care of her emotions.
And I was like, maybe I should use that strategy of helplessness. But I was like, no, like it's good that your children don't see you as helpless.
Absolutely.
So That's what I mean. People are looking for strategies and they want a quick fix. So, all these movements of positive psychology, manifestation, biohacking, conscious parenting, all of it is being seen as a strategy to bypass the real deep inner work, which is very uncomfortable for people.
It's not easy, is it?
So as I see my work mutate out in the world, I just have to allow it, because again, if I get upset, it's my ego, because it's not mine. So conscious parenting is not mine
because your
either.
Information through divinity will reach the people it needs to reach, and the people will come to you who need to go to you, who are ready for the message.
Exactly.
Right?
And it is difficult in this world of popular culture where you see the popular message getting the following, but that's not what my message is. My message is very different, and I stand clear in it and with integrity in it, and I don't get swept away to the peril of my movement. But my movement is an anti-movement, so it cannot be part of the movement.
It's perfect. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I'm super excited for you to do your retreat here. Do you want to tell our audience about your retreat a bit? What you're going to be doing during it?
It's so funny, but this I did manifest.
There you go.
Like magic. I was looking for a place to hold my women's retreats. And there you showed up, right? Maybe after a few months or a few years, but you showed up in my DMs and however you showed up. And now I'm going to do this women's retreat at the end of August. And I already see it as an annual thing, because this place that you've created here is just so integrated in its raw masculine energy. It's not pretty. It is pretty, but
I know what you mean.
You've left the raw element of the jungle. Like there's a jungle out there.
Nature must talk.
Yeah, and you've left the rocks and the canopies are made with bars of wood
and bent.
So that's the masculine energy of this place that I love. It's like got this authentic feel. It's not like this cushioned
not manicured.
Place. It's not manicured. Yet it's so flowing and fluid and calm.
Very feminine as well.
And very feminine. And that's what I do with women. I help them integrate their masculine and feminine. So I manifested the best place to do this women's retreat. I'm so excited. I do see it as a life, at least a long-term partnership.
Amazing. I love it.
And I'm very excited and very grateful that you've created this place.
Oh, thank you so much for coming and bringing all your people here, hopefully in August, which is going to be amazing.
Yes.
And I'll see you then. Is there anything else you'd like to tell our audience before we close off?
No, just, visit Palmaïa, experience its magic. And, conscious parenting is really about honoring the child within all of us. People often say, oh, I don't have a child. Can I be a conscious parent? Is it for me? And I go, everyone is a parent to their own child. Yeah. So we start there, right? So it doesn't matter if you are a real parent to a real child. You had a childhood and you are a child. Yeah. So you're always your own parent. So that's what I teach in my coaching institute. And
so honor the child within.
Yeah.
Love that message. Yeah. Thank you so much. It's been beautiful to have you here. So and we'll see you soon. Thank you.